Well, sitting on a 2-5 record, the Saints are still acting like they're in it to win it. And in order to do that, they're going to have to go to Los Angeles and run through a top NFL defense with the Chargers. I don't think it's possible. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. Talked a little video earlier in the week about the signing of Alvin. Didn't really have any details at that point. Was kind of waiting for that to confirm what I suspected, which is the recent roster moves this week kind of, to me, confirms the Saints are still in it to win it. Um, Seems like everybody in that building still thinks, hey, we can turn this around. We can make the big finish at the end of the year. Um, it's the week started off. They did sign Marquez Valdez Scantling, which is not exactly a wow signing for me. But he's a 7-year vet. He's a bigger guy, 6'4", 206. Came into the league 4.3 speed type guy. As far as I know, he's still explosively fast. Um, 4 years in Green Bay, 2 in Kansas City. Started off this year in Buffalo, only had 2 catches for 26, and they cut him when they made the trade for Amari Cooper. His best year was 2020 with Green Bay. 33 catches for 690 yards, 6 touchdowns. That's pretty much all his career highs. One thing you can say about him, though, is he is kind of a big play guy. For his career, he averages 16.9, so basically 17 yards a catch, which is pretty good stuff. And oddly enough, he seems to play a little better in the postseason. He's had 11 postseason games between Green Bay and Kansas City, including Kansas City's 2 Super Bowl runs. And he 188. I'm sorry, 24 for 406 and 4 touchdowns, and again averaging dead on that 16.9 yards per catch, so 17. So kind of just that big play guy. It's a bigger guy with some size on him while he's doing it. And honestly, with Shaheed out and the younger, I mean, Cedric Wilson hasn't really shown as much as I was hoping he would show. And you're basically replacing the 7-year vet you were hoping would give you something with another 7-year vet you're hoping gives you something. But as far as the rest of the wide receivers, they've not exactly been super outstanding. Means has had some good looks. Tipton looks like he's finally getting involved in the offense, but I guess they just are looking for a little more veteran stability there. Hoping somebody can pop on the other side of Olave and help out. That corresponded with Paulson and Debo going to IR. Of course, he's done for the year and is going to a looming free agency. So that adds a lot of question what's going to happen there. They re-signed Roderick Taylor or signed Roderick Teamer and Shamar Jean Charles to the practice squad, and in doing so, when a surprising move, released safety Jonathan Abram and guard Chris Reed, who hadn't really done much anything but sit on the practice squad since they signed him when all the injuries occurred. It's at least a sign that we're thinking the injury bug is done and we're getting all these guys back healthy. Practice reports so far for the week more or less confirm that. So we'll see how it goes. And I think about Alvin, they're reporting 24.5 mil over 2 years, basically 22.23 million guaranteed and a 15.5 million dollar signing bonus. In the greater scheme of things, what the Saints have going on, I believe Nick Underhill said it kicked up that 75 million over the cap to about 80, which that's piddling to the Saints. What I haven't seen, what I was hoping to see, and nobody's released it yet, exactly what the terms are on any number of years past the 2. Is it just the 2 years? Are there void years on it? Is there any other than the 15.5 million that they rolled to signing bonus? Is there anything else in there? Because on the face value of this, what I'm looking at, this does not secure Alvin as a long-term option for the Saints, or I say long-term over those 2 years. He's kind of right in the middle of the going rate between guys like Joe Mixon and Saquon Barkley. I think they're 9 and 13 million, and you have a veteran running backs because they're both about the same age. And actually, Alvin's got a pretty good injury history compared to definitely Saquon Barkley and pretty much better than Joe Mixon. And they both got some pretty big deals this offseason to go to their new teams, or in the case of Mixon, I think he was traded and restructured. But teams around the NFL have realized it is circling back to a running league, and you need good running backs. And there ain't as many out there as there used to be back in the day. So I still think if somebody wanted to, even next week when we really need Kamara and want to throw, I don't think it will happen, but if they did, or this offseason, I don't necessarily know unless there's something in that contract that we don't know about yet because the terms and total years hasn't been released. Could still make him kind of tradable if you needed to. And you basically played the going rate for a top NFL running back. And anybody who thinks the guy with the broken ribs, the broken hand, who's still almost nudged up to about 4 yards of carry behind an offensive line that's beat up, injured, not very good right now. I don't know what to tell you. But basically, the sum total of these moves tell me that I think, because I think there's low propensity they're even thinking about trading Alvin. They're in it for the next 2 years. The remainder of this year and into the next year, it's like nothing happened. It's like we're 5-2 and not 2-5. I think that's the people in the building. Hats off that y'all still have the confidence to think this is still some type of growing concern of a NFL team trending in the right direction. But I'm gonna tell you straight up, we're gonna move into the point of the video where we're gonna start talking about the game this Sunday in Los Angeles. And I'm just not seeing a whole lot of that's gonna tell me the big turnaround's gonna start in about 48 hours. So once again, we're coming to a must win this week. I've been saying that this will be the I think third week in a row. Um, and the previous two have not gone well, to say the very least. But if you're in it to win it, if you're doing all the stuff we think you're doing, Mickey, speaking, looking right at you, team's got to stop the losing streak. I mean, it's time to put up or shut up. You got to go out and beat the Chargers in LA, and that has to start a winning streak because you're gonna have to follow it up the next 2 weeks easily. Have any semblance of trying to pull off what you apparently think you can pull off. But you definitely can't lose this one because I mean a 6 game losing streak rather is bad enough. But you're definitely going to lose ground on one of the division leaders and waste an opportunity to catch the loser of that Atlanta Tampa Bay game and at least make up a game on them. And then you give ground to whoever wins that game and don't gain any ground on whoever loses it. You 6 game losing streak at that point. If there's any buy-in left from the fan base or any goodwill left from the fan base, and I don't have the feeling there really is, but if there's any, it'll be gone after that game on Sunday if you lose it. So you want to break down the Saints offense versus the Chargers defense. Well, there's some good news right there. Um, Defensive coordinator Jesse Minter for the Chargers was actually Harbaugh's defensive coordinator in Michigan, and all he's basically done in 6 games, because they've already had their bye. But in 6 games, he's, for all intents and purposes, they are the number one defense in the NFL. It's probably an arguable point. But when you start going down where they are, they're top 10 in everything meaningful. I mean, they don't give up yards. They damn sure don't give up points. They're the best in the NFL at that, at less than 2 touchdowns a game. They're top 10, both in defending the run and defending the pass. You just don't gain yards off these guys. You just don't move the ball that well. Apparently, they're average on third down conversion, but who the hell cares when you're not you're not letting the other team move the ball and you're not letting them score. By contrast, the Saints have been trending so far in the wrong direction when it comes to stuff like this. Um, Other than their red zone and their third down efficiencies, which somehow they're still pretty good at that, amazingly enough. They can't run the ball. They're struggling to pass it. They're struggling to pick up any yardage whatsoever. Their points per game is still fairly decent at 25.3, but you're still off that 91 you scored the first 2 weeks is still affecting that a lot. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, Denver, whose defense probably aligns pretty close to what San Diego had. And at home, realistically, other than garbage time, he basically kicked a field goal against them. So, I mean, I they're counting on a lot of guys coming back to injury, especially that offensive line this week, getting Taysom back. Hopefully, Alvin's recovered more and is fully ready to go because you're going to need him. Um, Scanling will have to probably come in and do something, but I don't know if he can in this short time, you know, period of time. But when you start looking at that San Diego defense, you got a couple injuries floating around on that side of the ball too. Some key guys. Joey Bosa hasn't played since week 2 when he got injured. He may be coming back. You pair that up with Khalil Mack on the other side and Bud Dupree coming off the bench. They have some good edge rushers, which means it's going to be real hard to use our tight ends, I think, to help out the tackles like we had been doing early in the year, unless we can run the ball. They're still pretty good in the middle. Morgan Fox, Poona Ford's probably two of their bigger names. Um, Linebackers, Denzel Perryman's another one that he's their best guy, but injury issues there. Don't know what his status is going to be. Deion Henley's the other guy. He's pretty good himself. On the back end, you got Derwin James. As long as he's not getting kicked out of the games for anything, he's pretty much going to be back there hitting hard and making plays. Their other safety, Eli Gilman, pretty good guy. Son Elijah Molden is another one that's come up with some good games. Their corners are hurt. Christian Fulton, Jasir Taylor. Maybe they have him, maybe they don't. But the thing when you kind of look at San Diego's defense, their guys do the things that, for instance, us didn't do, which is when they're relying on in some cases plays you never even really heard of or you knew was going to see game time. They seem to come up and make a play for them on defense when they need it. They've got their heavy hitters that they rely on. They're better football players, but seems like they got this team believing just kind of the opposite of the Saints that um, to do your job, be ready for when your number's called or whatever. It seems like they've got a group of guys on that side of the ball that buying into that wholesale, and they wind up on the field. They're figuring out a way to make it work. This is a very good defense. Like I said, I could arguably say it's the top in the NFL, and if it isn't the top in the NFL, it's definitely top 5. So you're our offense is going to see and deal with a lot of the same stuff they tried to deal with in Denver, and they just didn't do a very good job on it. And the Saint front office is taking the attitude and some of the more positive thinking Saints fans. Oh, when we get everybody healthy, everything's going to change. I'll tell you what, if we've got everybody healthy like we think we have on the offensive line plus skill players, well, that theory is going to be put to the test on Sunday. So when we take a look at the Saints defense versus the Chargers offense, once again, hey, there's some good news right there. Uh, Statistically speaking, we're talking about the Chargers being one of the best, if not the best defense in the league. Well, the Saints, one of the worst, if not the worst defenses in the league. There's a problem right here that the tackling and all the other stuff we've been talking about over the last few weeks, it seems like more than just that's the problem when you're giving up dead last in the league, almost 400 yards total offense a game. You're in bottom four in both the defending the pass and the rush. You're getting chunks there, and you've been absolutely hard against the rush the last 2 weeks. Um, you're still in the bottom 10 giving up points. Thank God for the good red zone percentage. Otherwise, you'd be giving up 40 or 50 points every week. So there's real issues going on the defensive side. Luckily, when you look at San Diego side of the ball there on offense that you're going to be going up against, there's nothing really special there. There's nothing that really scares you or should if you had any type of legitimate NFL defense um, playing against them. Kind of average, um, fair to middling, pretty much through. They convert at a good clip on third down, but and they don't convert well in the red zone at all. So there's a game where our defense has a chance to get its head out of its collective behinds and get back on track. This is it. When you're looking at their offense, they have a pretty good quarterback in Justin Herbert, but he lost almost all of his top receivers this offseason. I think he's had some he hadn't missed any games, but I think he's been fighting through some injury issues. But still, he's completing at a 65% clip. He's got over 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, so only 1 interception. So he's not turning the ball over. He's zero threat to run. He's got 20 carries for 34 yards. So we get a little bit of break on that. That's more of the non-mobile quarterback is where we're going to be facing here. That takes one of our problems off the plate. And of his top 5 receivers, 3 of them, Lad McConkey, Will Dissly is tight end, and Quentin Johnson, the number 1 pick, who was supposed to be the big time replacement target. They really haven't practiced all week, so there's a good chance none of them are going to be there to make Herbert's job even harder. So you're looking at guys like Josh Palmer, Simi Fehoko, Jalen Rager as kind of the top options. DJ Chark's been, I think he was officially activated from the IR, but he's been on IR, but he's been limited practice. So they're trying to get him back. Whether they're able to get him on the field on Sunday, we'll see. But just quite frankly, it's an offense that doesn't scare you. It shouldn't scare you. Yet I'm terrified because I'm week after week been watching how our defense has just declined to the point where they're not stopping anybody and they're not keeping anybody off the scoreboard. So if you want to have a turnaround game and all this other stuff that we're talking about, where the Saints front office is going to, hey, look, it's all in the building. We can turn this around. We can make it happen. Well, the defense has got to kickstart it because you got to keep this offense from scoring points and out the end zone to give yourself even the remotest of chance of trying to win a game in 48 hours. Bottom line, you want to win this game defensively, you got to stop the run because odds are they're going to take J.K. Dobbins and they're going to do what the last 2 teams have done to you, just try to bash him through that. And there wasn't much bashing going on. There was a lot of big holes and missed tackles involved. But getting him up in there and letting him gain yards on the ground and doing most of the work himself through that running game and whatever backups you have available to put behind him and take some snaps. You're not going to really do it much with your quarterback. I don't think he's not really going to be running around back there. But if you're the Saints, you don't stop Dobbins, you don't win this game. Period. Bottom line. And however you need to do it, that's how you need to do it. And when you look at their passing game, what they're bringing in, I think that's kind of how you do it. Is you take your chances there. You claim to be a man team. Well, this is time to prove it because you're going to have to man up on those guys, devote some bigger fronts, more numbers in the front, in the box, do some run blitzing, some overall pressure looks. And when they aren't going to run the ball, when you're trying to go heavy and pressure to stop the run, then that pressure needs to continue and get to the quarterback before he has a chance to throw something downfield and hurt you. No. Doesn't get any simpler than that, does it? You have to stop the run, and when they're going to throw it, stop the run. You're going to, like I said, you're needing more guys, more bodies in the box, and those bodies are going to have to keep on going through that offensive line and try to get to Herbert. Offensively, it's, look, you got to run the ball. You got to get your run game going back. Supposed to be getting maybe Cesar Ruiz looks like he's going to be back. That may help stabilize a lot on that offensive line. Plus, hopefully, you're getting everybody else except for maybe Saldivari healthy and ready to go on that offensive line. And obviously, McCoy is still not back yet. But try to get it to some better semblance of what you were trying to call a running game the last 2 weeks. You got to control the clock. You got to do it through the running game, basically, and you got to get that back on track. And you can't help a really good defense out by turning the ball over or committing stupid penalties. And I just getting so annoyed having to repeat this over and over again. So hopefully you guys will get the message and stop doing it so I can just totally quit talking about it. But this offense is in no way, shape, or form ready to overcome some stupid penalty on third down that takes a conversion off the board for us and makes it even longer on the second time around to go try to pick up a third down and keep a drive moving so we can go get points. It's a getting healthy thing on offense. That's what everybody's pinning their hope on. We're going to find out. Yeah, the front office and everybody in that building and a good chunk of Saints fans going, oh, it's just the injuries. It's just the injuries. You're getting large chunks of your offense back. Getting the offensive line healthy, plus you're getting some skill guys back. Got to utilize him. Kubiak's got to call a good game. Taysom Hill's got to stay on the field and produce, not only touching the ball, but be the guy he was early in the year where our offense was looking better when he was on the field because it just gave a lot of looks and a lot of problems to the defense because you don't know when he's on the field or the Saints in 21, 12, 11 personnel or what the hell they're going to do. San Diego's a little bit of a situational defense. They do rotate a lot of players in and out, scheme specific. You'll see times where they've got a bunch of safeties on the field and are pulling linebackers. In fact, most of the time, their linebackers, I don't believe, are getting 100% of the snaps, even their top guys. So, Derwin James normally wears a green dot, their safety. So, if you can mess with that a little bit, it looks like that might be a little bit how they get by with some of the stuff they do on defense. So, if you can catch them with a mismatch because they're trying to not just play base personnel, well, like Denver and Tampa Bay did to us the last 2 weeks, and they're trying to get situational. Taysom's a good counter to keep that from happening by virtue of the fact he can line up anywhere and making it really tough. He can line up in one spot, motion to somewhere else. So you can go from 12 to 21 with no problem. And yet the defense, the way San Diego tries to play it, could be a huge issue. So it revolves nothing around more than if you lose this game, your season is done. I don't think it can be stated any clearer than that. And you lose this game and it's still coming out the front office that they think they still have a shot or whatever the hell that they're thinking the game plan is. No. You're no longer living in reality at that point. So roll in, win the damn game. So we can all celebrate Sunday night on the post game show and try to start convincing ourselves again that this big turnaround is legitimately possible. But right now, I'm just not seeing it. So if I had to throw a number out there, I'm saying this Saints have a hard time scoring over 14 points, so the defense better hold them. But realistically, I could see like a 20-10 San Diego win in this one. And I'm sorry, Los Angeles, the Chargers. Old habits die hard. They'll always be San Diego to me. So, yeah. Give me a thumbs up if you think the Saints season is riding on the line, that they've got 4 quarters to right the ship. And if they don't do it in the next 4 quarters in that game in LA, not San Diego, the ship sunk and the season's done, no matter what they say, think, or do at this point. So hopefully we're not having this conversation Sunday night for the post game. And Have seen requests that people would like to move the time for the post game up. I'll see what I can do. No promises. Um, and especially since it's 3 o'clock start, it's going to be a little harder to start early. But as long as you like, share, and subscribe, and if you're new, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button. Then you'll know. Sometime tomorrow, I'll have it all figured out. I'll have it posted for when the live show is going to be. You'll get the notification, so you'll know the time. But I'll definitely be seeing you Sunday night sometime. Please, 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 please be after a win so we can hoot at it up and be happy. But if not, either way, we're gonna have some fun. We'll talk about it. So till I see you then, I'm Tim. Peace out. Hoot at.